Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, mistress of the macabre. The vast oceans are a source of many a mystery. On the open seas, people are vulnerable to the elements. If someone were to fall overboard, and nobody is there to help them, then they too will become many of the lives claimed by our vast oceans. Today, my fiends, we will uncover 2 cases of people who are missing at sea, and 1 bizarre case of someone who was actually found at sea. So, let us grab our life preserver and climb aboard so we can explore our grotesque curiosity. The first case we will look into is the disappearances of Thomas and Eileen Lonergan. Thomas and Eileen Lonergan were a married American couple who were unintentionally abandoned in the Coral Sea off of Australia's northeast coast. They were abandoned on January 25, 1998, during a group scuba diving trip on MV Outer Edge. Their absences were not noted by the boat crew until 2 days later, on January 27th, while search efforts resulted in the discovery of personal effects presumed to be those of the Lonergans. They did not lead to their discovery. Their whereabouts are unknown, though both are presumed dead. The couple's disappearance and deaths resulted in a crisis of confidence in North Queensland's dive industry and resulted in tighter mandatory safety regulations for diving boats in Australia. Their disappearances also served as the inspiration for the 2003 film Open Water. I've seen the movie Open Water, and I can't say it was the best movie or anything. Pretty much the same facts happen, and as you can imagine, the ending was probably similar to what happened in real life to the Lonergans. Spoilers, the couple drowns. So let us go back to that fateful day. On January 25th, 1998, the Lonergans were scuba diving with a group at St. Crispin's Reef in Australia's Great Barrier Reef. The boat transporting the group to the dive spot departed before the Lonergans returned from the water. So they pretty much were forgotten and left at sea. None of the vessel's crew or passengers noticed the 2 had not come back aboard. The couple were not discovered missing until 2 days later on January 27th, 1998, after a bag containing their belongings was found on board the dive boat. A massive air and sea search took place over the following 3 days. In February 1998, a woman's wetsuit matching Eileen's size washed ashore in North Queensland. Upon examination of barnacle growth on the wetsuit, it was determined it had likely been submerged in the ocean since January. It also bore tears along the butt and armpit area, presumed by examiners to have resulted from coming from contact with coral. Several theories were suggested surrounding their disappearance. At the time, it was suggested that the Lonergans might have staged their disappearance. However, the Lonergans' bank accounts were never touched, and their insurance policies were not claimed. Excerpts from Tom's personal diary were found, portraying a man who was looking for a quick and peaceful death. Eileen's writings expressed that she had chosen to stay with Tom, no matter the outcome. However, the diary entries were taken out of context according to Eileen's family. The family, the coroner, and the Port Douglas police claim that only pages that would validate the suicide theory were leaked to the press, whereas the majority of the diaries remain unread except by the coroner, the police, and the family. 6 months after the disappearance, in June 1998, more of the couple's diving gear was found washed up on the Port Douglas beach, approximately 75 miles or 121 kilometers from where they were lost. Among these items were inflatable dive jackets marked with the Lonergans' names, along with their compressed air tanks and one of Eileen's fins. Also recovered was a weathered diver's slate, which is a device used for communicating underwater, which reportedly read, Monday, January 26, 1998, 8 a.m. To anyone who can help us, we have been abandoned on a reef by MV Outer Edge, January 25, 1998, 3 p.m. Please help to rescue us before we die. Help. Eileen's father, John Haynes, later said that he suspects the couple ultimately became dehydrated and disoriented, and in the end succumbed to drowning or sharks. During the inquest on the deaths, experts speculated that based on the state of the gear recovered, the couple had not likely experienced an animal attack, but rather succumbed to delirium resulted from dehydration, which caused them to voluntarily remove their diving outfits. Without the buoyancy provided by their gear, experts testified the couple would have been unable to tread water for long and would have drowned. The coroner dismissed suggestions that the Lonergans had either committed suicide or faked their own disappearance, and formally charged Jeff Ian Jack Narn, skipper of the dive boat, with their unlawful killing. However, he was later found not guilty, and his company, Outer Edge Dive, was fined after pleading guilty to negligence and went out of business. Queensland's government also introduced stiffer regulations, among which was the requirement that captains and dive masters independently confirm each head count. So at least something positive came out of this incident. The next case of someone lost at sea we will cover is that of Lynn Bradley. Lynn Bradley is an American woman who went missing during a Caribbean cruise. She went missing on the Royal Caribbean International cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas in March 1998 at the age of 23, while en route to Curacao. Searches turned up no sign of her, and investigators believe it unlikely that she had fallen overboard. On March 21, 1998, Lynn Bradley, her parents Ron and Iva, and her brother Brad left for a week-long cruise on Rhapsody of the Seas. On the morning of March 24th, Bradley had been drinking with the ship's band Blue Orchid in the dance club. One of the band members, named Alistair Douglas, known as Yellow, claimed he parted ways with Bradley at about 1 a.m. Sometime between 5:15 a.m. and 5:30, Bradley's father, Ron, saw her asleep on the cabin's balcony. When he got up at 6 a.m., however, she was no longer there. He had later said, "I left to try to go up and find her. When I couldn't find her, I really didn't know what to think, because it was very much unlike Amy to leave and not tell us where she's going." The ship had left Oranjestad, Aruba, and was en route to Curacao, Antilles at the time Bradley was last seen, and docked there shortly after it had realized that she had gone missing. Extensive searches on the ship and the sea produced no sign of her whereabouts. The Netherlands Antilles Coast Guard conducted a 4-day search that ended on March 27th, and Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines chartered a boat to continue looking for her, but they ended their search on March 29, 1998. Bradley was a trained lifeguard, and investigators said that there was no evidence that she could have fallen aboard accidentally, and additionally no evidence that she could have taken her own life by jumping off the side of the ship either. There were possible sightings of Bradley in Curacao in 1998 and 1999. 2 Canadian tourists reported seeing a woman resembling Bradley on a beach in Curacao in August 1998. The woman's tattoos were reportedly identical to Bradley's, and one of the 2 men said that he was 2 feet away from her, and said that he was sure it was her with complete full certainty. Bradley's tattoos included Tasmanian devils spinning a basketball located on her shoulder, a sun placed on her lower back, a Chinese symbol located on her right ankle, and a gecko lizard on her navel. She also had a navel ring. A member of the United States Navy stated that he had seen Bradley in a brothel in 1999. He claimed she told him that her name was Lynn Bradley and she begged him for help, explaining that she was held against her will and not allowed to leave. There's also a picture of a woman in what looks like a brothel who the parents claim is Amy, so it's possible that she got kidnapped and sold into sexual slavery in the Caribbean. There was another potential sighting of Amy in 2005 when a witness named Judy Maurer claimed to have seen Bradley in a department store restroom in Barbados. The witness claimed a woman entering the restroom accompanied by 3 men who proceeded to threaten her if she did not follow through on a deal. The witness alleges that after the men left, she approached the distraught woman, who then said her first name was Amy and that she was from Virginia, before the men re-entered to take her away. Maurer called authorities, and they created composite sketches of the 3 men and the woman based on her account. There is currently a $250,000 reward offered by the Bradley family for information leading to Amy's return, and a $50,000 reward for information leading to her verifiable location. Additionally, the FBI is offering a $25,000 reward for information leading to her recovery. This last case is a bit different than the last 2, as it is someone who was found at sea rather than someone who was lost at sea. The picture you see here is of young 11-year-old Terry Jo Duperal. She was found off the coast of the Bahamas after she spent a grueling 84 hours alone at sea until her rescue. When Nikolaos Spachidakis, second officer of the Greek freighter Captain Theo, saw Terry Jo Duperal, he could hardly believe his eyes. He had been scanning the waters of the Northwest Providence Channel, which is a strait that divides 2 major islands of the Bahamas, and one of the thousands of tiny dancing whitecaps in the distance caught his eye. Among the hundreds of other boats in the channel, he focused on that single dot and realized it was too large to be a piece of debris, and far too small to be a boat that would travel this far out to sea. He alerted the captain, who put the freighter on a collision course for the speck. When they pulled alongside it, they were shocked to discover a blonde-haired 11-year-old girl floating by herself in a small inflatable lifeboat. One of the crew members took a picture of her squinting into the sun, looking up at the vessel that had saved her. This image made the front page of Life magazine and was shared all around the world. But how did this young American child find her way in the middle of the ocean all alone? The story begins when her father, a prominent optometrist from Green Bay, Wisconsin, named Dr. Arthur Duperal, chartered the luxury yacht, the Bluebell, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to the Bahamas for a family trip. He had brought with him his wife Jean and his kids Brian, who was 14, Terry Jo, who was 11, and Renee, who was 7. He had also brought his friend, who was a former Marine and World War II veteran, Julian Harvey, as his skipper, along with Harvey's new wife, Mary Dean. By all accounts, the trip was going swimmingly, and there was little friction between the two families throughout the first 5 days of the journey. On the 5th night of the cruise, however, Terry Jo was awakened by screaming and stamping on the deck above the cabin which she slept. Unbeknownst to Terry Jo, by the time she woke up on November 12th, Harvey had already drowned his wife and stabbed the rest of Terry Jo's family to death. Talking to reporters later, Terry Jo recalled how she went upstairs to see what it was, and I saw my mother and brother lying on the floor, and there was blood all over. She then saw Harvey walking towards her. When she asked what happened, he just slapped her in the face and told her to go back below deck. Terry Jo once more went above deck when the water levels began to rise. She ran into Harvey again and asked him if the boat was sinking, to which he replied, "Yeah." He then asked her if she had seen the dinghy that was moored to the yacht break loose. When she told him she had, he jumped into the waters towards the loose vessel. Sounds like a really nice guy, eh? Left alone, Terry Jo remembered the single life raft aboard the vessel and embarked on the tiny boat out into the ocean. Without food, water, or any covering to protect her from the heat of the sun, Terry Jo spent 84 grueling hours before she was rescued by the Captain Theo. Harvey likely killed his wife to collect on her $20,000 double indemnity insurance policy. When Terry Jo's father witnessed him killing her, he must have killed the doctor and then proceeded to kill the rest of her family. He then sunk the yacht they were on and escaped on his dinghy with his wife's drowned corpse as evidence. His dinghy was found later by the freighter called the Gulf Lion and was brought to a U.S. Coast Guard site. Harvey told the Coast Guard that the yacht had broken down while he was on the dinghy. He was still with them when he heard Terry Jo had been discovered. "Oh my God," Harvey reportedly stammered when he heard the news. "Why, that's wonderful." The next day, Harvey took his own life in his motel room, slitting thigh, ankle, and throat with a double-edged razor. To this day, why Harvey decided to let young Terry Jo Duperall live is unknown. Maybe he thought she was just going to drown anyway and had to plan a quick getaway. Some at the time hypothesized that he had some kind of latent desire to be caught, as little else would explain why he would have no qualms killing the rest of her family but mysteriously left Terry Jo Duperall alive. Whatever the case, this bizarre act of mercy resulted in the media phenomenon of the sea waif that captured the nation. Well, that was truly a grotesque tale. On the first case, with the couple who got left behind, I think that they must have drowned. I don't even think they would have made it through by the time that they were discovered missing, with the currents taking them further out to sea and having to tread water without any supplies. And in the second case, I think it is possible that Amy Lynn Bradley is still alive somewhere. Probably still in the Caribbean. And in the last case, even though it wasn't really about missing people, I wanted to cover it as it is uplifting that she was found. Otherwise, she would have ended up as one of the missing. May the souls of those who disappeared rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Subscribe, like, and share if you would also like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.